Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here to support scouting here in Quincy. And we're so blessed to have so many incredible leaders like Ray T. Burge who step up and put on these programs for our young people. There's nothing better in society to me, with all the ills we have today, than what scouting does for our young people. They create great, great citizens. So grateful you're here this morning, and I'm going to turn it back to Ray as we start the program. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for reminding me that I didn't introduce myself. My name is Ray T. Burge, and in case you didn't know who I am, I happen to be the chairman of the Quincy Friends of Scouting, the benefiting agency for today, and the coordinator of all of this beautiful activity this morning. I can't thank you enough for your support and making this possible. But without further ado, I'm going to hand the mic over to our senior patrol leader, Marcus Pham, who's going to lead us in the color guard. If I could ask you all, please stand for the presentation of the colors.
Color guard, attention. Color guard, present the colors. Scout salute. Color guard, post. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. And please join me in the Scout Oath. On my honor, I'll do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And please join me in the Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2. And now Michaela Joyce.
Michaela's going to lead us in the Girl Scout oath and law.
Girl Scout attention. Please recite the Girl Scout promise with me. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. Please recite the Girl Scout law with me. I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, and responsible for what I say and do. And to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout.
2. Awesome. And lastly, before I have you sit, I'd like Noah Taylor to come up and lead us in the national anthem. Noah?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets rang clear, the bombs bursting Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Noah. Go ahead, be seated. Reverend Cliff. Where's Reverend Cliff? Reverend Cliff. Next, Reverend Cliff will lead us in an invocation to bless this event and the food we're enjoying. Reverend Cliff.
Let us pray. Gracious God, creator and maker of all, we come before you in thanksgiving and celebration as a gathering of scouts, a gathering of family and friends, a gathering of community neighbors and members who provide leadership and guidance to the scouts and to the greater Quincy community. We give you thanks for your loving kindness and compassion. And in this hour, we call upon you to shower your blessings upon our Mayor Thomas, for all who govern and all elected officials and city officials, workers, and those who through any form of service offer themselves in devotion to our city, commonwealth, and nation. As each scout promises in their scouting oath, may God grant all who govern and hold authority in this community, for each of us as neighbors, workers, and leader in this historic community of Quincy, the wisdom, grace, and fortitude to uphold and serve the common good for the well-being of our neighbors, and to lead our community to a brighter, safer, and more healthful future for all. We come this morning to offer thanksgiving and congratulations for the skills, abilities, and knowledge of the 2024 recipients of the Good Scout Award, Bob and Brad. We are grateful for their influence as both leaders and as followers, and who have so unselfishly shared their desire to serve you in their life's work and vocation through their God-given knowledge and skills. May each of those men accept a sense of accomplishment for their faithful and dedicated service as leaders. And, oh God, we give thanks for all those men and women who guide and lead these scouts and those attributes of living that you, oh God, have made known to us in many ways. Through the care and direction of the scout leaders, along with family, friends, and many community members who guide the scouts often quietly and behind the scenes, that the potential for each scout is waiting to be discovered, explored, and built upon. For this time and this place, for your goodness and grace, to each friend we embrace, we thank thee, O God. And as we continue to enjoy this time and this food, may we always be mindful of the needs of others. We offer this prayer to you, O God, our provider, for all we need. And may you bless us and protect us. May you show us favor and be gracious to us. May you show us kindness and grant us peace. Amen.
Color Guard dismissed. And Color Guard, feel free to fill in any empty seats here. Leaders, if you happen to see any empty seats, please, I welcome you to sit down and enjoy some breakfast. I did want to point out there are buffet lines on either end of the room, so you don't have to feel like you have to cross the room. Donors, if you have any empty seats, feel free to raise a hand and indicate that you have some empty seats and you'd love to have a scouting friend this morning. Next, I'd like to invite the combined Quincy-North Quincy Chorus up. The chorus is going to lead us in a beautiful rendition of America the Beautiful this morning. Fill our hearts with some joy, even in the inclement weather outside, but it is New England, right?
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of gray, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful war heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, God mend thine every flaw. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for patriotry that sees beyond thy years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, hopefully we're filling your hearts with some joy and some sunshine this morning. But our first speaker I'd like to kick off with is actually our esteemed Mayor Koch, who's going to come and share his thoughts about today's event. Mayor Koch.
I feel like, anyone ever see the movie Patton? That great scene in front of the flag? I got to get a copy of that oath, Ray, for my staff meetings coming up. I want to say a thank you. A thank you to each of you for being here, taking time out of your schedule. A number of people made financial commitments this morning that really put it over the top. Your contributions really helped to sustain the scouting program during the course of the year, especially for some of the folks that maybe couldn't afford to step up and be part of certain programs that are costly. So it has an incredible impact. A few weeks ago, I was at the pageant field for the huge camp weekend that Quincy sponsored. Of course, wouldn't happen without the leadership of this guy, Ray T. Burge. And I believe there was 700 or 800 scouts and a couple hundred leaders. It was absolutely incredible sight to see. In addition to them, though, enjoying the weekend, they did a special project. Some of you know next year we're going to be celebrating our 400th anniversary as a settlement. And the scouts across the city planted some 20,000 bulbs, daffodils and tulip bulbs. So next spring, at the 400, we're going to be seeing the great work of the scouts from that weekend. So congratulations, Scouts, and thank you for that beautiful contribution to the city's already a beautiful place, but to make it extra special next spring. Absolutely. My guess is the last time there was a Camporee, Al Grazioso was there, and Jim Fassies, because it was back in the 60s. Just saying. With that, again, thank you everybody very much. Again, thank you to the Scout leaders. I mentioned Ray, but there's so many of you here that work so very hard, put so much time in, especially in a time that we live that is very challenging, raising a family and really finding the time to help, volunteer, and make a difference. And truly, scouting makes a huge difference. So to all involved, thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very much appreciated. It's such a beautiful room and such a powerful event today. And I can't help but stop and take an appreciation for the amazing formula that we have for this event. Certainly, anything in Mayor Koch's name is always successful, but just having a sense of citizenship and patriotism, the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, youth and leaders, our beautiful high school chorus, the amazing Terrell Room, a delicious, beautiful hot breakfast, and two amazing honorees to recognize today. It's a perfect formula for a successful start to everyone's day. But before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that in addition to Mayor Koch being our honorary chairman for the committee, The members of the event committee that are present, if you could please stand: John Cohane, Chuck Phelan, Tim Cahill, Diane T-Burge, Marilyn Manning, Elise Baker Boncaldo, Jen Sammons, Helen Murphy, and Anthony Igniti. I couldn't have made this possible without an amazing team to make it possible, so thank you all. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't point out some members of the Quincy Friends of Scouting are here wearing our purple shirts. Elise Baker Boncaldo. Elise, if you could stand again, thank you. Raymond Chung. Raymond, you're perfectly standing already, thank you. Diane T-Burge, Jen Sammons, and Ben. Is Ben here this morning? All right, it's all good. Thank you to the Quincy Friends of Scouting for making today possible. First off, I'd like to explain the mission of Scouting is to instill strong values in our youth to help them make positive choices over a lifetime. These values include character, self-responsibility, respect for diversity, servant leadership, and participative citizenship. These tend to be four-letter words these days, but not in Scouting. They are part of our core values, and this is what we're teaching every day. Next, I'd like to explain the role of Quincy Friends of Scouting in the Scouting community of Quincy. The mission and foundings of Quincy Friends of Scouting are explained in the program booklet on your table, but I'd like to take a minute to highlight the role that Quincy Friends of Scouting has in Scouting in Quincy. QFOS not only provides the financial resources to remove economic barriers to individual units, troops, and families and individuals who are trying to participate in Scouting, but it also provides the overall leadership and communications and cooperation between all of the Scouting units, regardless of which program they are chartered to, the BSA or GSUSA. We all subscribe to the same values and seek to guide youth to find their full potential as participative citizens in Quincy. In addition to providing funding resources, QFOS also helps Scouting grow and thrive in Quincy by aiding with developing partnerships, not only with local government departments such as the Mayor's Office, Parks and Rec, Police and Fire, Emergency Management, but also with agencies such as Norfolk Sheriff, thank you, and also other nonprofits such as Interfaith Social, National Parks, thank you, Quincy Historical, the Colonial Dames, and various religious institutions across the city. We also provide support in the form of manpower with special topic guest speakers and merit badge counselors. We also provide specialized equipment to aid with youth and adults safely and confidently participating where they can let go of the entrapments of the daily urban life and learn about leadership, self-reliance, and teamwork all at the same time. When considering grant applications that we receive throughout the year from units or from individuals, our typical model that we're looking for is a shared burden. We call it a third, a third, and a third. So when a youth applies, we want them to learn to earn their own way. So let's say they needed $900 to go to summer camp. We're looking for them or their family to find a way to get to $300. And then we'll look to the unit, the troop, to help with getting that kid to camp. And then Quincy Friends of Scouting will typically supply the last third. In some rare cases, it'll be a 50-50 split, and some even more rare cases will cover the entire burden. Where I think that really comes into play, and we see it more often, is families now, because the Boy Scouts of America is co-ed from K through age 20, whole families are jumping in, and they're getting 3 and 4 participants. So the thought of sending all of the kids to summer camp becomes a $2,800 venture. And we don't want families to get in that position where they say, Chris, you can go this year, but your sister can't go till next year. And that's not part of the formula for us. And that's where Quincy Friends of Scouting and your donations help us to help those families overcome those barriers so that all kids can experience and benefit from the Scouting program. Over the past 12 months, Quincy Friends of Scouting has received over $36,000 worth of requests for financial support in various ways. And unfortunately, we only had the resources to give out $28,000 last year. But I'm extremely pleased and proud to share with you that today, this event has raised more money than this event ever has in its history of, I believe, 30 years. I haven't checked the tally at the door, but I believe we're at $45,000 raised today. Thank you. Now on to the update about the status of Scouting in Quincy. Contrary to many cities and towns in Metro Boston, Scouting is thriving in Quincy. And while membership metrics did see a negative impact from the pandemic, Quincy Scouting suffered the least and bounced back faster and stronger than any other town in the area. Scouting in Quincy is comprised of youth and leaders registered in the BSA and GSUSA programs. In the BSA, there's a Cub Scout Pack and Boy Scout Troop 6, both located out on the Neck at the Congregational Church. And then there's also Cub Scout Pack, Scout Troop, and Venturing Crew 42 located in Quincy Center and Wollaston, and you see them dispersed around the room this morning. Also, the GSA program has multiple Daisy, Cadet, Senior, and Ambassador troops throughout the city. There are currently 260 youth in the BSA programs and 111 youth in the GSUSA programs, along with 80 registered leaders, gives a total membership of 451 members in Scouting Quincy today. I also wanted to review some of the highlights. Mr. Mayor pointed out that we donated 4,000 service hours at the Camporee recently over Columbus Day weekend, along with other events and activities and conservation projects. Gives us a total of 5,780 man-hours contributed to the city just in the past 12 months. In addition to, thank you. In addition to the 23,000 flower bulbs that we planted, we also planted 83 trees out on Pond Street. So we are very excited about the spring. When you see those yellow tulips all over the city in the spring, please think about Scouting and the impact that we're having together as a collective. Some of the other highlights I want to share with you is in the past 12 months, we've had 7 Eagle projects were completed. 2 more Eagle projects are in the pipeline. 3 Venturing Summit Awards were earned in the last 12 months. And with the GSUSA, Troop 6257 was awarded the Silver Award for their Positivity Project, and Troop 67855 was awarded the Silver Award for their Booster Seat and Bicycle Safety Service projects. Also, I wanted to draw attention, Mallory Jacobs was awarded the GSUSA Medal of Honor for her quick actions and heroism in saving her cousin's life in a cave. And we currently have 4 Girl Scout ambassadors are working on their Girl Scout Girl Awards. So that is my update. You can see that we are very busy. We keep the kids going. We try to provide as much program as possible so they can jump in and jump out as their family schedule and academic needs allow. But the important thing is that we challenge them. We take them to places that they didn't believe they could do. There's nothing more rewarding than driving a car up through Franconia Notch in the White Mountains and pointing to a mountain and say, hey, we're having lunch on the top of Cannon Mountain today. And they give you that look like, Mr. T-Bird, you are crazy. There's no way. And I'm like, yeah, it's only 4,200 feet. You're going to be up there for lunch. And then you bring them back 2 years later when there's 4 feet of snow on the mountain. You say, I'm bringing you back up there again. We're going to go have lunch up there again in snowshoes. And again, they think that you're crazy. But for us in Scouting, it's about teaching them that the impossible is possible. And it's possible because we do it collectively. That when you think about trying to do it by yourself, maybe it's impossible. But when we do it collectively as a Scouting community, we can make anything happen. So with that, I thank you. I'm going to hand the mic over now to Mr. John Cohane, who is also a co-chair. And John's going to share his thoughts with you about why Scouting and why Cohane supports Scouting and why you should continue as well going forward. John.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ray, for a wonderful program, and Mr. Mayor for being so kind and putting this on every year. It's a tremendous morning. I tell Ray all the time it's one of my favorite mornings of the entire year, so I hope you're all enjoying it. Thank you for joining us today to support Quincy Friends of Scouting. I'm here to talk about a simple yet powerful question: why Scouting? Scouting is much more than an after-school activity. It's a foundation. It teaches values like integrity, leadership, and service. Qualities that shape not just good Scouts, but exceptional adults. Whether it's learning how to tie knots, navigating a hiking trail, or organizing a service project, every skill contributes to a larger vision. How to face challenges with confidence, teamwork, and a commitment to doing what's right. For many young people, scouting is the first time they realize their potential to make a difference. A quiet kid becomes a leader. A curious mind becomes an innovator. A helping hand becomes a force for change in their community. Your support today ensures that more kids in Quincy can access this life-changing experience regardless of their circumstances. Scouting opens the doors to adventure, friendship, and opportunities that will echo throughout their lives. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Next, I'd like to ask Chuck Phelan to take the mic, and he's going to share some perspective. Chuck was part of the original founding committee of the Quincy Mayor's Breakfast, and Chuck's got some thoughts to share with you. Chuck?
Before I get into sharing a few thoughts, I'd like to also introduce some of elected officials who are in the audience this evening. I'm going to start with the city. Being a former city councilor, I'm starting with the city council. Ward 4 councilor, Jim Devane. Ward 2 councilor, Richard Ash. Councilor at large, Scott Campbell. From Norfolk County, I think our sheriff just had another previous engagement. He just had to run out the door and been a great friend of scouting. Sheriff Pat McDermott. And a state senator who actually helped get the first one going on the Salem, John Keenan. He was executive secretary at the time of Jim Sheets. With that, I just want to go into brief history. Actually, this is the 47th year of the Good Scout Award. It's come through different variations. One of the things that happened was originally it was done on as a cocktail hour at night. It was then started by late Senator and Mayor James R. McIntyre started the proceedings. It proceeded like that through into the 1990s when another reiteration of the Scout Award, and that's when it became the Mayor's Good Scout Award. And it became, at that time, we did it on the back of the Salem, although the Salem was great, wonderful place, but if it rains, you're in trouble. So it's a lot better being in here, as you can see outside. So it's kind of continued that way till probably about 2014 when Mayor Koch worked with Ray and we started the new version of it, which is to get scouting, promote scouting in Quincy and make it this is a way to fund it, to take all barriers away from people who would normally not be able to afford to take part in the scouting program. And that's been the goal actually from the very beginning in 1947. And at this time, I would like to ask if there are any past recipients, could you please stand and be recognized? And I'd like to congratulate our recipients who are getting the awards today, both Bob and Brad. You're going in a long line of some great people who have put their heart and soul into the scouting program here in Quincy. At this time, I'd also like to I'm going to ask you to do a moment of silence to remember some of our people who over the years have given a lot of service to the scouting program here in Quincy, but have passed on. Two in particular who are former Good Scout Award winners, former Congressman and DA Bill Delahunt, who was a former Scout, who was a former Good Scout winner, and also George Burke, both who was a DA and councilor and a state representative, who both passed away this year, who were both great friends of the scouting program here in Quincy, and were both recipients and nominees, were recipients of the Good Scout Party. At this time, I'd just like to ask for all the moment of silence, because I could go, there's a list of people if we go 47 years, but just take a minute to remember those people who have passed on, who have won the Good Scout Award. Thank you. A lot of the speeches that were started now were started back in 1996, where we made the decision to have the kids tell why this is a good program and why. And it's better to hear it from them than us. So at this time, the brief history of the event, and I'm going to turn it back over to Ray, who's done a great job. He's been our captain steering the ship. So thank you, Ray.
Our first youth speaker that I'd like to invite up is Robert Bryce. Robert is the president of the Venturing Crew 42, and he has an interesting story to share with you. Robert?
Thank you, Mr. T-Bird. Good morning, everyone, and thank you once again for being here to help honor two great leaders and celebrate Scouting on this beautiful Thursday morning. The snow is finally sticking to the ground, so I can't think of something more beautiful that's happening outside and inside. As Mr. T said, my name is Robert Bryce, and I am the current crew president for Venturing Crew 42, former senior patrol leader for Troop 42, and an Eagle Scout. I've had the great experience of going through the Scouts BSA program, taking in all that it offers. I've climbed mountains that I thought I would never climb before, hiked dozens of trails, completed requirements for merit badges, and of course, I've had some pretty questionable food on campouts. However, this is a shared experience across the Scouting community amongst many of its members across the country. However, many of its members won't get to experience Scouting in Quincy. It's unique here. Unique in a sense that we don't only strive to hike the most miles, complete the most merit badges, or get Eagle Scout the quickest. Many people, I believe, have a skewed interpretation of what Scouting is. Is it just that we tie knots and that we go camping? Or is it that we just sell popcorn outside the local supermarket? Or do we really just do nothing at all and show up 3 times a year at the local parade in March? Not quite. We do go camping and hiking in the Blue Hills or White Mountains. We tie knots and lashings to make some pretty cool structures. But in the end, it's all about what the Scout takes out of the program. And while in many places it differs, here in Quincy, it's all about character. There's a lot of fun to be had for these Scouts in the program, and the main goal here isn't to produce as many Eagle Scouts as possible. It's to produce as many upstanding citizens and participating members of society, while having fun at the same time. Most towns and cities will also not have a camporee at one of the city's staple parks with over 1,000 Scouts from different towns piling in during Columbus Day weekend. That weekend, I believe, solidified my character, developed around the Scouting program at the youth end of my journey. The President's Trail Camporee occurred during my birthday weekend. And many people, when I arrived to staff that weekend, asked me why I didn't take at least a day off to spend it with friends and family. And although my family and I had already gone out to dinner that previous night, I told them I was already out with my friends and family. I could not think of a better way to celebrate and spend my birthday than with the newfound friends and newfound family that I have come across over the 7 years while in Scouting. Leadership also became one of the most important traits I have learned during these past 7 years, and especially during these past 3. Not just any sort of leadership, however, servant leadership. It has become such a central aspect of who I am that I even chose to write my college essay about it. Every Eagle Scout in Troop 42 certainly has had servant leadership drilled into their brains by all of the committed adult leaders, especially Mr. T. Birch. I led to serve during my time in leadership positions, having to organize a group of young yet capable and enthusiastic leaders to plan, prepare, and execute a troop meeting, camp out, fundraiser, or parade could be very challenging at times. However, I knew who I was serving, the younger Scouts like my friend Ella over here. I believe I displayed this as well during my finest moment at my Eagle Scout Board of Review when my former Scoutmaster, Mr. Gillespie, who's somewhere in the room, asked me why the second half of my Scout book was not filled out fully and disorganized, while my Eagle Scout workbook was neatly organized in sheet protectors all in a binder. I believe his intentions were for me to talk about my growth and my organizational skills, but to be truthful, I had always been a kid who remained decently organized. I told him, however, that I put my book down to pick up some other Scouts' book, to teach them, to lead them. That type of leadership and character is instilled in all of the Scouts in Quincy. Being an upstanding and participating citizen is also a trait of Scouts in Quincy. Coming off an election year, there was without a doubt a mixture of reactions, but I had the great privilege and honor for voting for the first time this year as well. Some of my friends dared to ask me the question of, who did you vote for? And I usually responded with, yes, and I left it at that. To me, this was about the simple fact that I voted, something that way too many people take for granted. The jargon of, oh, your vote doesn't matter, isn't spoken by a single Scout, especially Scouts here in Quincy, coming from the City of Presidents, of course. I joined Scouting in 5th grade after my friend and Troop 42's senior patrol leader, Marcus, would not stop talking about it. It got me interested. I came to a meeting and I joined the pack, and soon after I crossed over into the troop. I struggled with committing to an activity when I was younger. I stuck with soccer and baseball for only a few years before quitting because it wasn't really that fun for me. When I told my dad I wanted to join Scouts, he reluctantly signed me up and expected me to last as long as I did at soccer. However, I'm still here. Quincy by far has one of the highest retention rates of Scouts, and that is because we are doing it right here. I do not know where I would be without the Scouting program. I would have never found my new family and friends. I doubt I would have hiked Mount Washington when the rain was coming at me sideways. And I probably would have been saying, who are these people with yellow vests on the sidewalk during Columbus Day weekend? And I would also have not become Eagle. But most importantly, I would not be the person I am today. So thank you, everyone, for I know that I would not be here today to experience and achieve all that I have if it weren't your support. Have a great rest of your morning.
Great job, Robert. Thank you for sharing that. You have a great story to tell. Next, I have Emmy Torres, Girl Scout cadet from Troop 67855, to share her story with us. Emmy.
Hello, my name's Emmy Torres, and I'm a cadet Girl Scout. There's a lot I could tell you about being a cadet, but I'm going to go back a few years to when I was a brownie. When I was 8 years old, I broke my knee. I had to have 3 surgeries and could not dance, play soccer, or do most activities I was used to for 10 months. This was really hard, but even though I was pretty upset, there's one thing I could do: Girl Scouts. My troop included me in meetings, even if I needed to sit with my leg in a brace, and they also made sure I was not down in the dumps while at home. For the first week I found out I had a broken knee, my Girl Scout troop put together a big gift basket with cards, gifts, and activities I could do sitting down. Girl Scout friends FaceTimed me to play games, talk, and plan activities for our troop and younger kids. Without the help of my Girl Scout community, I might not have had the motivation to keep working to get better. I might not be able to show the younger girls, like I do each year, how to do headstands like Girl Scout founder Juliette Gordon-Lowe. In the Girl Scout law, the last line we say is, "And be a sister to every Girl Scout." This could not have been more true when I broke my leg. I thank all of them for helping me during that time, and they still have a big part in my heart 4 years later for their support. Girl Scouts not only surrounded me with amazing friends, but taught us all how to be a good friend, to help each other, and to truly be a sister to every Girl Scout. Not just at our meetings every other week, but always. Every day, the kindness of my Girl Scout troop, when I broke my knee, reminds me to be kind to others with simple things like picking up someone's pencil for them or giving them a compliment when they're having a tough day. I noticed some of my friends in school who are not in Scouts do not seem to do these things. Scouts are different than other people because they want to be kind and helpful, and they know how to do that, to take that to the next level with their leadership skills. Being a leader does not necessarily mean getting up in front of you all like I am today. Being a leader is showing kindness and teaching these important skills to the others. The girls in my troop help the younger troops in our area learn these skills as we practice ours. Instead of spending time on my iPad, chatting with friends, or on social media, I plan meetings for our 2nd grade troop. I use the leadership skills I've learned to teach them about wants and needs, how to be a good friend, how to be a leader, and much more. Recently, one of the younger girls told me that when she's my age, she wants to lead a troop. Sometimes I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job, but then I remember moments like that. Moments that show I am really making an impact. I remember how at first it was only me who helped run the meetings, and now several cadets asked to help. Girl Scouts really changes people. It has changed me and my troop friends. If you don't believe me yet, listen to this last story. A few years ago, when we were going to the same breakfast, I reminded my friend that she needed to be prepared to tell people why she's a Girl Scout. She looked at me and said that honestly she does it because her mom makes her. She has only been a Girl Scout for a little bit back then, so she did not get the full meaning of Girl Scouts yet. She is here today, though, and will give you a very different answer. Now if you ask her, she'll tell you how she loves decorating pumpkins for seniors, how we learned to make pie and desserts. She'll tell you how much she looks forward to meetings and overnights and going to STEM programs. She's no longer here because her mom tells her to be. She's here because she wants to be. Girl Scouts has changed her. As I leave you today, I hope you think about how Girl Scouts are changing the world, how Girl Scouts change people. You are not giving your money to girls so they can do crafts. You're giving your money so girls can become leaders. I'd not be surprised if by the time we have our first woman president, if that woman has been a Girl Scout when she was younger, using the leadership skills she learned and practiced through Girl Scouts. I hope I leave you today more hopeful that our future's in good hands because of Scouting. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmy. You're a rock star, and that was a beautiful story. I really appreciate that. Excellent. Good job. Next, I'd like to invite Marcus Pham up. Marcus is an Eagle Scout and the senior patrol leader from Troop 42. He's done a wonderful job already today, but he has his story he'd like to share with you. Please give him your attention. Marcus.
All right. Thank you, Robert, for that excellent shout out. That was very nice of you. All right, let's get this speech started. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, honored guests, all company, Scouts. My name is Marcus Pham, a lifelong resident of Quincy, Massachusetts, and a proud member of Scout Troop 42 Quincy. I've been a Scout for 11 years of my life, and this morning I would like to share with you my journey and the impact that Scouting has made on not only my life, but others. To start this story, I'm going to ask you a favor. I would like you to imagine something in your head. Ready? All right, good. Chop me down about 3 feet, add glasses, and shave my head. That was me about 11 years ago when I joined Scouting. I was about as tall as this table, and if you can't see the table, that's my point. All right. I was the shortest kid in the room. In April of 2016, my mother, Maria Pham, enlisted me into Cub Scout Pack 42. Back then, it was led by Sarah Burke, now Mr. Lee. And Sarah Burke made it her mission to not only create a fun program, but to make a positive impact on every single 5 through 10-year-old that walked through the basement doors of Bethany Congregational Church in Quincy. She's one of the many selfless Scout leaders that I've met throughout the years. In Cubs, I had my first experience with first aid and knives. And although I wouldn't trust 7-year-old me with a knife, let alone practice first aid on me, that little 7-year-old was forming entry-level skills that made a base for the Scout program that I later crossed into. My first month in the Scout program transformed me. You see, in Cubs, it was all about fun. In Scouts, it's also all about fun. My troop guide, Ian Gillespie, was tasked with leading a difficult group of 10 and 11-year-olds. That was me. I couldn't help but be impressed by this teenager's ability to lead. He was my first look into the world of leadership. That first year in Scouts, I grew. Not only did I grow a foot taller, so maybe up to the podium, right here, standing at an impressive 5'3". But also my characteristics were molded into a slightly more mature attitude. My experiences as a younger Scout are ingrained in my mind, such as my first Mass Jam, which is a large jamboree where thousands of Scouts from across New England come to camp and have fun. Similarly, like the pageant field event that we had last October. Troop 42 every week put on an amazing program with speeches varying from cold winter survival to citizenship in our community, something that impacts us every day. In fact, it was my first year as a scout that I was able to attend an event just like this and shake the mayor's hand. It's not something that my peers around me can say they did. In the next few years, I grew a little bit more. I gained about 5 inches during COVID, so maybe up to the microphone, which surprised everyone when Troop 42 was one of the first troops to reconvene and recover quickly from the pandemic. When I turned 14, I gained my first leadership position, which was scribe. If you know, you know. This position helped me learn the reasons behind the order, as well as organizational skills required to lead, such as running a meeting. This next year, I became a patrol leader. Similar to the troop guide position, I led a group of scouts that were originally disorganized, but with the help of training and leadership I received from others, I was able to whip them into shape. The next few years, I grew even more. I stand before you today as the senior patrol leader of Troop 42. At 17, I earned the rank of Eagle Scout. So far, I've had the pleasure of planning summer camp, a trip to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, as well as over a dozen camping nights. Just a month ago, I was leading a group of scouts from all around New England, around this very city, on a historic tour. Looking back, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without the help of not only the selfless adults in the program, like Sarah Burke and Mr. T-Burge, but community members like yourself. For example, about 5 months ago, I had my Eagle project in the blazing sun with scouts from my troop. They were all volunteers, of course. I was able to renovate Paul Vincent Grasso Park, a park located in West Quincy held close to my heart, as it is one of the many ways I've been able to pay back my time in Quincy. I wouldn't have been able to do any of this, such as add a trash can, plant flower beds, add a dog waste bag dispenser, or even put down a tree in the park if it weren't without the generous donations of community members like yourself. I've been to 4 mayor's breakfasts in my lifetime. At 17, I've had the amazing experience of being in Scouts for nearly all my life. 10-year-old me would have never imagined that I would have gone from attending an event just like this to speaking in it, and also being as tall as I am today. I want to thank you for your time as well as your generosity. I hope from this story I've told you that helps you envision the impact that you make on the youth of today. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus. Great story, and thank you for reminding us that scouting makes the impossible possible. Our last speaker, Charlotte Mock, is from Cub Scout Pack 42, and I think you're going to enjoy her story as well. Charlotte.
Good morning, Mayor, Coke, special guests, and fellow scouts. My name is Charlotte Mock. 4 s'mores and 7 camping trips ago, I started scouting in kindergarten as a line. And now I'm in 4th grade as a Weeble, which stands for We Be Loyal Scouts. I love scouting because I get to experience a lot of fun activities like camping, hiking, archery, and BB guns. One of my most memorable hikes was led by Mr. Ray and Mrs. Diane T-Burge at Camp Sayer. We went on a moonlight hike at night in the dark, and they gave us winter green lightsabers that sparked in the dark. I gave mine to a fellow scout that didn't have one, because a scout is kind. We learned that our eyes adjust in the dark, and the hike was so much fun. A skill I continue to build on throughout the years is how to be a great salesperson. Popcorn sales is how we fundraise, so Pack 42 can have all those fun activities like Power Derby, Popcorn Party, Blue and Gold, overnight adventures at Mystic Aquarium, Ecotarium, Battleship Cove, and so much more. I learned about Pack 42 from my cousins who are also scouts. I share my passion for scouting with friends and have now recruited many throughout the years. I love telling others how much fun we have and all the cool patches we earn. I look forward to joining Troop 42 and becoming an Eagle Scout one day. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and being here today. Thank you for supporting Quincy Friends of Scouting. Ask not what Scouting can do for you. Ask what you can do for Scouting.
Thank you, Charlotte. Great job.
Thank you, Charlotte. Great job. Beautiful. She's a rock star. All right, without further ado, Mr. Cahill, I believe you're up next to introduce our first honoree.
Thank you, Ray. I'm going to move this back up to Marcus territory. I think we pretty much share the same height and maybe our same story growing up, except that I wasn't a scout. Anyways, thank you, Mayor Koch, for supporting and sponsoring this breakfast. This event really took off when Mayor Koch stepped up to lead the reins and make it something special, as he does with so many different things in Quincy. Both he and Al Grazioso are the two most unhappy people that this white snow is out here right now, but Al promises me it will all be plowed by the time we leave here in a few minutes. Fortunately for you, unfortunately for me, I left my glasses in the car, so I have an introduction of our guest and honoree that I can't read because the print is too small. Which is okay, because his bio is in the book, and it's a great bio. And we're really honored to have him here. And when I was talking to him about this honoree, his first response to me was, you can't. I can't do that. I'm not worthy of it. I was just a Cub Scout. I never got any farther than that. It didn't really work for me. And I told him about this event, and I think I described it pretty well, about the stories that these young people talk about and sort of bring us in. Those of us who weren't scouts, they bring us into this. And Bob says it's really about the bank, and the bank is about Bob. Bob is the bank, and the bank is Bob. And I think that really is the definition of a community bank. He's done a great job with Coastal Heritage. He's built it up to almost be $1 billion bank. He's expanded. But he's never forgotten his roots or his commitment to the community, which is why he's being honored here today. He did have a funny story he wanted to tell me, though, and I will relay it. Bob was a Cub Scout up in Peabody in his young life, and his fondest memory is of building a soapbox derby car, a nice red soapbox derby car. His least fond memory is that car finished dead last in the race because he forgot to put enough weight in it. And if you can imagine, you see Bob when he comes up, and you can imagine him as a 8-year-old. He probably weighed about 25 pounds. So it tells you really what scouting is all about, even as a Cub Scout. Those little things that you remember and that drive you as you go forward, literally drive you. So he still has to put weight in the car when he got here to keep it down so he could get here in time. But Bob is just a great guy. And really that is my biography of Bob Taravecchia. He is a great person, a great man. He leads a great bank. And we would be lost in our business, my business, the business of the city of Quincy, the Scout business, if it wasn't for committed people like Bob Taravecchia and Coastal Heritage Bank. And you see the story of what Ray and Diane have done for this scouting, Quincy Friends of Scouting, and it warms my heart. I was never a scout. I did get this award many years ago. I was never a scout, but I kind of feel like because our backyards are attached, I sort of learned to live scouting when I'd be sitting on my deck listening to the events that go on in my backyard or next to it with Ray and Diane. And my connection to this family, this scouting family, was from Ray's late son, Lucien, who used to be my paper boy and delivered my Quincy Sun. He was the only person that was ever allowed to cut through my yard to get to his backyard from Central Middle School. And we were really proud to have him be part of our family and be part of Scouting, and I know that's what drives Ray and Diane forward. So without further ado, the chairman, the president, and CEO of Coastal Heritage Bank, our honoree today, Bob Taravecchia.
Thanks, Tim. Marcus, this is going to come down now for the short, skinny guy. As Tim said, I'm probably the first honoree here that ever got fired from the Cub Scouts for what I did at that Pinewood Derby. But anyways, good morning, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and particularly the Scouts in attendance today. It is indeed an honor to be recognized here as a good Scout, along with my friend Brad Kroll. Hi, Brad. I must admit, when I did receive the call from Tim, and he followed up with a text, I was down in Williamsburg at a conference, and I looked at the phone and I said, I think he's got the wrong Bob. And I did text him that, didn't I, Tim? And he said, no, you're the right guy. But when we finally connected, and he explained to me the rich history of this event, the names of the past honorees here this morning, and the great things that the Friends of Quincy Scouting does, I immediately had a case of imposter syndrome. Why would such an extraordinary group of people select such an ordinary person like me? As we all know, the Good Scout Award honors those who are unselfish in serving others on an individual and community basis. A Good Scout is always interested in helping others and seeks no return of service other than the satisfaction of aiding those in the community. But as I reflected on the essence of really what a Good Scout is, I came to the realization that although I may be the one named recipient of this year's award, I am actually accepting it on behalf of my colleagues at Coastal Heritage Bank. I have had the privilege of working in community banking for almost 34 years, as Tim stated. Over this lengthy time period, I have witnessed firsthand the positive impact that community banks and their employees have on the communities that we serve. Whether it's the Quincy Chamber of Commerce, the South Shore YMCA, the Quincy Rotary Club, and my good colleague Mike Wilcox, who's the president, Father Bill's, my brother's keeper, and countless other organizations that I could name, my colleagues at Coastal Heritage Bank generously donate their time, talent, and resources to those organizations. I am but one small cog in a wheel of a great community bank that has been serving the South Shore since 1889. Over the years, I have had great joy in sponsoring countless Eagle projects, a lot of them out of Troop 2 in Weymouth. And I can't tell you how impressed I am when an Eagle Scout candidate comes into my office, hands me an overview of their project, and proceeds to give me a well-thought-out presentation. I fondly recall one candidate who we sponsored who came back to visit us several months later to show some of the pictures of what they built. They were very proud. Just before he left, he handed me an envelope. It had $24 in it. And he said, Mr. Taravecchia, I didn't spend all the money. This is the extra. You talk about integrity when a kid does something like that. It really does renew your faith in our youth. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge something that everyone here already knows, just how incredible this guy is. A couple months ago, my colleague Jack Pelrine and I met Ray for the first time at McKay's. And before we ordered our breakfast, we could already tell how passionate Ray is for what he does for the scouting community. As Ray was enthusiastically telling us about all of his scouting adventures in the White Mountains in New Hampshire, I wanted to kind of fit in. So I just boastfully said, hey, Ray, I climbed Mount Washington 15 years ago. He said, oh, that's good, Bob. He said, I've climbed all 48 4,000-foot mountains in New Hampshire, not once, not twice, but 3 times. So I sat back and I said, listen, stop talking, listen. Needless to say, he's an incredible person. And one of the things that really impresses me about Ray is how he challenges his scouts. And you heard some of that today, and he takes them out of their comfort zone. I remember asking him, you might remember this, Ray, do the scouts ever get really anxious about being out of civilization, outside of their cell phone service? They're way out, they don't know what they're gonna do. And he said, they do get nervous, but it's his job and the other leaders to instill the confidence in them that they already have everything they need to be successful. They need to trust in themselves and their fellow scouts. So to the scouts here today, I would like to thank you all for the positive things you do for our community. You are learning at a young age that you make a positive difference in the world. and I urge you to continue your scouting journey and learn as much as you can from this great man, Ray T-Bird. So on behalf of all of the great good scouts at Coastal Heritage Bank, I accept this award in their honor. Thank you.
Lisa?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bob. Can I take it with me? Yeah, please. Great. It's yours. Closest I'll ever get to a Heisman.
It's not a Heisman, but a lot to be proud of. Thank you, Bob. Beautiful. Mr. Mayor, if you want to come up and introduce our final honoree.
Thank you, Ray. It's certainly a privilege for me this morning, not only to be here to celebrate scouting, but to bestow upon Brad Kroll a Good Scout Award. I go back a long way with Brad. Always impressed me, his care and concern for the community. Served on the Park and Recreation Board. He ran for public office, which is not easy to do. Put it on the line, was successful, served the people of Ward 2 for 10 years. Has a beautiful family. I've known his mom and dad, Pat and Marilyn, for a long time, and a beautiful wife and children. And Patrick, you're getting so tall. Incredible father, incredible husband, and he's a director of the retirement system with the city of Quincy. That's a fund of almost $1 billion. He's a bright guy. He's got a great financial background that helps us make sure that we're scoring wins in the retirement system, so it protects this system for many years ahead. As many of you know, Brad ran into a tough time in his life. Brad was incredibly fit. I was always a little jealous of that, marathoner, just incredibly fit, physical fitness, took good care of himself for all the right reasons. And he ran into a major issue that never saw coming, no one saw coming. He handled it with incredible strength, incredible grace. It wasn't about poor me, why me, it was how do we get through this? And he got through it because he has an incredible supportive family, a faith in God, and incredible strength as an individual. I'm proud to present to Brad Kroll, Good Scout Award.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. That was quite an intro, and I said to myself, like, "Do you get the right guy?" But an honor to be here for sure. I was a member of this pack, this troop, for quite some time, and kind of interested in be standing here. Not so sure why, but I'll say thank you. Right, as I've been advised over life, when somebody does something nice, you say thank you. But realistically, like, this stuff plays out in my own home. And what I mean by that is, I see scouting and the amount of prep work that takes place before a den meeting, a pack meeting, and I'd be remiss, and I heard it here, mentioned several times, that it really is like the leaders that make this thing go. So how about another round of applause for... I felt pretty, ready to go until I got up here and I heard that intro, because realistically I really wasn't going to kind of chat about what happened to me. But I've also been advised by a 9-year-old to not sit up here and talk too much. And then I've been solicited about 45 minutes ago, can I have that award? I'll put it in my room and I'll take good care of it. I'm like, I said, talk to Mr. T-Bird. No pressure, right? But sincerely, pleasure to be here today and to see this whole thing come together. What I've done after retiring from, public office is I've taken a foray into coaching youth sports. And I realize that can certainly be a Herculean effort. But, a career in politics kind of gears you up for that, right? And, I've been involved with the youth football program in Quincy now for just about 3 years, flag. But the kids are great, right? So I learned so much more from them, I feel, that I could ever, give to them. But one of the things that I say over and over and over to these, the kids during the game is to stay positive and find a way. And what I mean by that is, in the game, like, we're working, everybody's playing, but we're working, right, to get a win, because that's what you do in sports. But, it's the positive mentality when you're down. How do you sort of reframe your mindset, to kind of drive that inner ability, to get you and your team to where it needs to be to hopefully capture a win. And, I always tell kids too, because, there's always going to be somebody bigger. There's always going to be somebody stronger. There's always going to be somebody faster. But how do you find a way? Whew. And, I think that whole, philosophy of like staying positive and finding a way sort of translates itself into life, right? Because realistically, I know many people in this room. I'm honored to accept this award knowing, who some of the past recipients are. But I know some of your struggles. You know some of mine. And, how do you kind of stay positive in unfavorable situations? How do you find a way to deal with it? Whether it is, I'm getting a little choppy here. I'm going to get to a funny story, though. Whether it's like a health issue or a financial issue or, an interpersonal relationship issue, a fill-in-the-blank issue. Like, how do you find a way to deal with it and move through it? And I think that is, like, in my opinion, the true definition of character. And how I would kind of tie this back to the scouting program is fundamentally, I couldn't agree more with, like, the structure and the foundation that it helps an individual put in place to deal with life on life's terms. So, staying positive and finding a way. My funny story is this, and Ray kind of helped me piece this together because it's been a while since I've been in scouting. I was in the pack, I was in the troop all the way up to life, and I made a decision not to continue. It was probably one of my larger regrets in life, unfortunately. But nonetheless, I get to see it play out, like I said, a little bit in my own household these days, which is great. But we used to go up to a camp, which Ray helped me fill in the details, 1-week camp up in New Hampshire called TL Store. And what that was a sleepaway camp, right? So you were going to go up there, and I heard some of the scouts who did an amazing job up here. Congratulations on your speeches. Talk about going to, a place where you're doing archery, and you're doing rope climbing, and you're doing BB gun shooting, and you're doing all kinds of, like, really fun, sort of aggressive at times, activities. And back then, like, I was a badge hound, right? Like, I was always working towards some sort of badge, and to the credit of my mother, she pushed me to do it in a good way. But I remember there was this one badge, and it was like a polar bear badge. And that was like, say it's a Monday through Friday camp, so you're packed appropriately, right? Because the scout motto is to be prepared. It was you had to be on the dock at 7 o'clock. I do remember that. And what you had to do was basically like jump in the water, jump in the lake, and do a whole bunch of like different exercises throughout the week. So it's an everyday commitment. And you feel pretty like excited about it until 6:30 rolls around, and you've been like grinding the whole day before, because it's not like a hangout camp. It's a pretty aggressive agenda. So the last day. Again, on the dock, 7 o'clock, you had to show up in your jeans, and you had to jump in the water and turn those jeans into a flotation device while you're in the water, right? Seems kind of complicated, seems like you need to bring your problem-solving skills. But I remember that night before, I don't remember the exact details, but I remember I loaned out my last pair of jeans to my tent mate because I was prepared, per my mother, and I had a pair of sweatpants to sleep in. So, the kind of deal was, you can use my jeans, you don't have any, I got to get up super early, I need the jeans to go do this thing, like, we're good. And, 6:30 or so rolls around, I need the jeans come off, jeans come over, jeans are soaking wet. Newsflash, it didn't rain in the tent the night before. So I did what any good scout from Quincy would do. I put on the jeans, I walked down the hill, I jumped in the ocean, I turned the thing into a flotation device and got the badge. The moral of my story is really stay positive, find a way, even when your pants are wet.
was your first high school?
No, I don't.
He's gonna earn his own.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, Quincy Choral, if I could have you up, we'll close out with a beautiful rendition of God Bless America, and then we'll send you all on your way. Please join me in enjoying Quincy Chorus.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful, as always. Thank you to Mr. Mayor. Thank you to our donors. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to our honorees. What a beautiful way to start the day. I wish you all safe travels home. Thank you for making today and this year a success for Scouting and for Quincy. God bless. Have a beautiful day.